And we will be recording today's session. Just to let everyone know, we will be posting this session on our social media YouTube channel. So if any participants were not able to attend today, they have the ability or the opportunity to watch this session in our social media platforms.
So we have Jorge writing that they're grateful for waking up. Me too, always a great thing to remember. Barb, one of our facilitators today, is grateful for the firefighters throughout our state, risking their lives to keep us safe. I will second that. I know the fires have been very traumatic for all of us, so we'll reiterate this throughout, but if you need to take any time for self-care throughout the day, please do so. I know a lot of us are dealing with a lot. Stephanie is thankful for working air conditioning. Oh, me too. It gets very hot here. And David is grateful that they live in Cameroon. Oh, best weather in the US. Love it.
Where is Camarillo? Where is that? Southern California? Is that Southern or Northern California?
I think I was in Camarillo. I've been in a lot of places in California. I'm looking at the public service outage map. I wonder if we have folks that are with this wind, if they're turning off power throughout the state. Camarillo in SoCal.
Excellent. I'm going to have to check it out, Jorge. If it's the best weather.
Ventura County, right? I think
an hour away south of Santa Barbara. So that's good to know. If we need to, we're gonna have to check that place out because Northern California is hot.
It is right now. So for those of you who have just joined, we're going to be getting started in just a minute or so. But we're doing a little activity where if you can hear me, see the screen, see the interpreters, then just type something in the chat that you're grateful for this morning.
I see Danielle from Inyo. Hi. Hi, Jadish from OCAP. Julene, welcome. Rochelle's on. Robin, hi, Robin. I'm up in South Lake Tahoe here, and we are having winds and smoke from a new fire. I think it's the Caldor fire, not far from Placerville, I think, between Pioneer and Placerville.
I am in Northern California. I'm in Glenn County. And so we are next door to Butte County, and it is hot. And as you know, we are one county away from where the fires are. So just keeping prayers for our Placer and borderline Butte County residents. Lassen, the Dixie fires definitely have impacted many lives in our community.
So it looks like we have 23 folks on. I think we should get started.
I agree.
Lucy, you want to start the meeting? And
well, welcome. First of all, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Welcome. We are excited to have you join us. This is actually our third rural communities learning exchange cohort. And this is really brought to you with the purpose to bring topics of interest to partners, to organizations, agencies, professionals that work in our rural counties. We know that rural counties, rural communities are limited in resources, but we are very resilient. And we really wanted to create this platform to bring topics that will support you by bringing strategic tools and initiatives that can support the work you do. Strategies Technical Assistance is a nonprofit organization that is funded by the Office of Child Abuse Prevention. We are funded to provide support to counties and prevention planning. We work with child prevention councils, child abuse prevention councils, and we work with collaboratives in your community. Well, one of the elements that we found was that as we were working with our counties, we found that there were topics that were coming up often, and we decided that this would be the greatest platform to bring those kind of topics of information at all rural counties and communities to help you really understand and connect with some resources and to be able to help you maybe learn from other counties, engage with others, that peer learning opportunity. And just wanted to emphasize that these rural exchange cohorts are really brought to you and they're created for you. So we really look forward to your input at the end of our session today to give us some input on what topics are of interest for you so that we can work on bringing those in our next rural exchange cohort. Next slide. Today, we're going to be focusing on an initiative that has been actually launched. I believe it was launched May of 2021. It's a very recent initiative. And we wanted to bring this initiative to be able to bring that further development on ACEs awareness. But also the important element of this is what can we do in our community to be able to not just learn about ACEs, but what can we do with that information? How do we promote resiliency among residents, among the families and children that we're working with, but also you as a provider? We know that we all have a number, but that number does not dictate who we are today. And that is why we are bringing today our presenter who will be speaking about the Number Story Initiative to be able to help you bring this information into your community and to also provide them input on what are some of the tools or resources you need in your rural communities. And so I think this will be a great dialogue for today to be able to engage and be able to develop capacity and support to your rural communities. Next slide. So we would like to share with you, obviously, the team that is working behind the scenes to bring this together. We actually are a small but mighty group. And just so you all know, we are all part of a rural community. We have worked in rural counties, we live in rural communities, so we know what it is to work with limitations, but at the same time, the ability to leverage those relationships and those partnerships. And we get creative. And this is what really separates us in the work we do. So let me introduce you to our team. Next slide. I'm going to go ahead and have our first facilitator introduce herself, and we'll go then with our second, and then I'll introduce myself last.
So good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I think that we're going to have a great meeting today. I'm Barb DeGraff, and we were going to start this with an activity of having you guess. We were going to just put our pictures from our childhood up and have you guess and see who is who. But mine, I think we decided that based on the three pictures, it would be too easy for you guys. You'd all figure it out quickly. I'm sharing a photo of myself as a child. I grew up in New Jersey, spent my life there, and that's me at probably about age 5 with my little purse. And then a few years ago in Bhutan, which was a trip of a lifetime, in front of the Tiger's Nest, which is a beautiful, beautiful hike that you take up to a monastery on a hill. And it's hanging off a cliff. And it's my pleasure to be with you this morning. And I'm going to let Bryn introduce herself.
Hello, hello. My name is Bryn Pascal, and as you can see, I'm the one who ruined the game for you all because I look exactly the same, hair and everything. Um,
And your shoes. Look at the shoes in the
Oh,
it's a great
yes.
shot.
I'm probably about 2 years old there, almost 3. And exploring my mother's makeup drawer without her permission, which I probably still do to this day, let's be honest. But I am the data support specialist for Strategies TA. I am located out of Sacramento, California at the Child Abuse Prevention Center. And I will be doing all of the tech behind the scenes. So if you have any issues accessing anything, or if you have any questions about Zoom in general, I'm your gal. And I am so excited to be working with you all today.
Thank you. And I'm Lucy Hernandez, as you see here in the picture. This is me as a 5-year-old. I actually come to you with my number being number 8 in the ACEs assessment. And as a 5-year-old, this picture is actually us moving from house to house as a homeless family. And this is really to share with you that the power of today's story, the initiative, number story initiative, really, it helps you identify that the number does not dictate who you become. Today, you know, I get to help organizations. I've been administrator, director for urban and rural community organizations. And today my role is to support your community, your agency to be able to create a collective impact approach to the work we do. Why? Because I've been there. And it's really important for us to, you know, share our stories so that people can actually connect on why we are so passionate about what we do and the meaning behind this. So this is why I'm so connected to this number story initiative, because it's about resilience and what we do with that number. That is actually a number that can give you that courage to move forward in a positive pathway. So this is our team. We're excited to be here. And once again, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Next slide. So now we would like to know who is joining us this morning, and we would like to ask you to, and I see that some of you, thank you so much, are already posting on the chat box, but we would like to actually ask you to participate in our Mentimeter. So we're going to go ahead and put that up. If you don't mind, we would like for you to, we're going to go ahead and ask who is with us this morning and to be able to give us some feedback. If we don't have the Mentimeter ready, that's fine. We can just ask for you to add it.
I think we do. Yeah.
We do.
Bryn is on it.
Okay.
So if folks haven't used it, maybe Bryn, you could help them know how to do this.
All right, so if you haven't used a Mentimeter before, what you'll do is you'll go to www.menti.com and you'll use the code 76997204, which I put in the chat for your convenience. And then it'll give you a prompt to enter in your job title. And once you do, it'll pop up here on my screen and should show us all.
And if you do not have the ability to join us through Mentimeter, we will just ask that you do that via the chat box. Feel free to also join us that way.
Whatever's easiest for you. It says results are hidden. I wonder if, do I need to?
You know, it's telling me that that question's not available. The question that's available says suggest topics for the October Learning Exchange.
Okay, we have to let me reset this. Let's try it and see if
why don't we do this?
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, great.
I think it's working now. Sorry about that. We were wondering about that this morning. Okay.
So if you were having issues, maybe refresh the page and we'll see if that'll work a little better. Thanks for your patience with us.
We've got a program specialist, program coordinator, community outreach nurse. Yay. I love nurses. Anybody else want to try? or you can chat in the box if you want. Social service aid, health and human services, critical job. Hopefully you're doing what you love. Program coordinator, County Office of Education. CASA coordinator, I put in the chat. Those of you that know me, I'm always bragging about CASA, love the program. I've been a CASA for over 10 years.
I was gonna say you're a CASA volunteer.
I am a
so-
CASA, yes I am.
Mhm.
Prevention specialist, love it. Love it. You're welcome, Jorge. I love CASA. It's my heart. And you certainly see where prevention is needed in our communities and where resilience is so critical.
Great. We'll give it another 10 seconds. And if you were not able to post it on the Mentimeter, feel free to write it in the chat box.
We have Rochelle, OCAP Northern California consultant. Welcome. Up, I see Amy Broadhurst has joined us from Alpine. Welcome. CAPC coordinator. Yeehaw. ECE director.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and close the Mentimeter in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you. We have a pretty diverse group today and different specialties. So thank you so much. So let me take this moment to introduce you to our speaker presenter, our guest presenter this morning, which definitely I just want to give kudos and thank Lake County for recommending this connection. Carla Ritz, and I'm not sure if she's on our session today, but Carla actually shared during one of our CAPC meetings in Lake County the work that Member Story was doing and about the initiative. And it really sparked interest because of some of the trends that we were seeing in our rural communities need for not just awareness, but what do we do now with this information? So we know there's an assessment. People are being assessed when they have intakes, and we realize here's the number of their assessment, but what do we do with it? And this Number Story initiative really spoke about what to do next. What do we do with this information? And Joy Thomas is actually our guest presenter. She is, I'm going to share with you a little bit about Joy. But before I do, I want to share a little bit about who she represents. And the ACE Resource Network builds awareness of adverse childhood experiences, which we know as ACEs, and helps people and communities prevent and address the effects of childhood adversity and toxic stress. Their goal is to amplify and unify. They seek to bring together the vast network of amazing people and organizations who care deeply about ACEs, childhood, health, community, and resilience. Joy Thomas leads the research and strategy for the ACE Resource Network. Joy's early career was in theater education, arts management, and new play development. She shifted her skills and experience to help strengthen families and build community capacity via social services, specializing in communications and child abuse prevention through outreach and education in Santa Barbara and Sonoma counties. As a creative arts director of the Child Parent Institute, Joy developed and implemented trauma-informed arts programs to help prevent and address the impact of early adversity. Joy has trained teaching artists in the effects of toxic stress and trauma, trained educators and service providers in integrating the arts to promote development and healing, and also trained with the Center for Mind-Body Medicine as part of the Sonoma County Resilience Collaborative, which was formed to support the wildfire recovery. Joy Thomas is going to be presenting today the information in regards to the Number Story Initiative, which is, as I mentioned earlier, it is an initiative that has launched earlier this year. Sarah Maricos is not with us today, unfortunately, so she will not be presenting, but she is the executive director of the ACE Resource Network, and she has provided additional information that will be shared with you today. Barbara?
Sure. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of where we're going to go this morning. We're welcoming you now, and you're meeting our guest facilitator, Joy. You'll be seeing her in her adult life shortly. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time at the end exploring topics for program year 21-22. We have set our dates, which we'll share later, but we also want to have some time with you to think about topics that are going to be meaningful for you. So while you're learning about the ACE network and the Number Story, think about what it is that will help support your prevention planning work so that we can make these as relevant as possible. One of the things that I just wanted to mention was we're at the end when we close, and we'll put a link to the evaluation. Some of you have been kind enough to offer to work with me to help organize these learning exchanges. So I have created a small group of folks. There's about 4 people so far, but I'd love to grow that group. So if you're interested in working with me over the next 9-10 months, planning and for these events, give me your email address in the evaluation, and I'll make sure to get in touch with you and try to set up some time. What I'm hoping to do is really not take a lot of your time, but maybe 30 to 60 minutes before the event to go through the format so that we make sure that these events really meet your needs, because the goal is for them to meet the needs of the folks out in the communities doing the work. Okay, next slide, please. And what do we hope to achieve today? Well, today we hope that you'll actively engage in the learning exchange. We know that it's difficult when we have to do everything remotely, but we're trying the best we can to give you different avenues for learning together. And we want you to, as much as possible, hear from each other. So we want to increase the exposure to your peers. We want you to make connections, hopefully connections that you'll say, oh, I want to reach out to that person after the learning exchange. They said something that really sparked an interest, or they're dealing with a similar struggle. So that's one of our outcomes that we hope for today. And then we hope that you'll leave with concrete strategies to incorporate the Number Story initiative into your prevention planning activities. Some of the folks on the call are in what we call formal prevention planning counties, where we're providing strategies, technical assistance in developing a prevention plan. Others may not be, but you are all doing prevention planning on some level. So we want you to hopefully come away from this with great ideas for how you can incorporate this initiative into your work and how it can help you achieve the goals. And our next slide, this is my idea of a pair share activity. We're going to have you pair up. We're just going to do this one time. We're going to put you in pairs, 2 people. If you are not interested in participating, please let us know. I'm not interested in doing a pair share, because what we don't want to have is somebody alone in a pair. It's only 2 people. So if you're not interested, let us know. We will not put you in a pair. We hope you'll take 5 minutes, meet somebody new, Imagine we're meeting in person. Introduce yourself, talk about your work, share about some of the challenges or initiatives in your county. Just get to know each other for 5 minutes. So again, if you're not interested in participating, please let us know. You can chat it, or you can, I think that's probably, Bryn, is there any other way for them to let you know that they don't? Oh, Jadish says, let us out, leave me out of the pair share. Okay.
Okay.
If there's any other way that folks should let you know that they don't want to. Oh, Holly said, don't include me. Okay, Holly Masterson. So Jadish and
Okay.
Holly.
Well, I won't be able to make it so you won't get invited to a room, but you don't have to join. And I will make sure that you are put in a room with more than 2 people so that you can
Perfect.
just stay in the main room and your partner will still have someone to pair share with.
Excellent. So just opt out when if you're not interested. Thank you so much. So we're
And
going to
I'll
go
actually be moving all those people into room 2.
Okay.
Is what it'll be called, but just don't join and it's fine.
All right. And we will come back. It's 9:57, 9:58. My clock just turned. So we'll come back at 10:03.
Awesome. Opening the rooms now. Not a worry.
Okay.
I just closed them for everyone, so
Yeah.
be back in a minute.
Well, I hope you had some fun and you were able to meet somebody new. If you enjoyed the activity, give me a thumbs up in your reaction. And that lets us know if it's something that we should continue. Thank you, Michaela. So if you go to the bottom, there's a little reaction button. You can do thumbs up, heart. But if you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, that'll give us a feel for how you liked the activity. Not too many thumbs up. Okay, well, that's good to know. Oh, we're getting a few more now. Okay. All right. Well, if we go back to the PowerPoint, Bryn. So the last thing that I want to just share with you before we introduce our wonderful guest facilitator, when you all registered for this event, we asked you about some of the successes and challenges you had if you've been incorporating ACEs into your work. And I thought it was very interesting because the successes, there were basically 3 major pieces. In many of your counties, staff know about ACEs and it's talked about, which is great. I remember being in court for one of my CASA youth, and the judge talking about ACEs, and I was really impressed. I thought that's showing that that the message is getting out. Many counties are using ACEs as a community engagement tool. So it's a way to bring in members. And that's one of the things I want you to think about as a part of prevention planning. We're always thinking about how do we engage our community, and ACEs and the number story, great way to engage community members. Also, many have ACEs and PACEs collaboratives and communities, and you're using the the PACEs connection to communicate. And then also advocating for trauma-informed services and training for staff. So those are the successes. And then the challenges: obtaining buy-in from administrators and board members, how to build ACEs into your greater family strengthening efforts. And what do you do? And this is always key. I know I've heard this from some of the physicians. What do you do when an issue is identified and you need to provide some support to the youth or the families? So hopefully we'll talk a lot about these things, and the number story will address some of your challenges. And with that, I'm going to transition to Joy, who's going to show you her adult self. And Joy Thomas is with us, and she's going to share her screen and talk about the Number Story Initiative.
Welcome, Joy.
Thank you so much. Let's see if I can get.
We see your screen.
We're going.
Perfect.
All right.
You
Wonderful.
look great. I'm going to mute myself now. Just in
Okay.
case.
Thanks so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be here. And the work that you all are doing is so close to my heart and absolutely part of my journey and my history too. I have, thank you for sharing, Lucy, about my bio there. I've worked as an outreach and education specialist in Santa Barbara County for the CAPC there for several years, and for the Santa Barbara County Kids Network. There's a collaborative there for orgs invested in children that's at the time overseen by the county. And then for Sonoma County, I was the communications and outreach manager for the Department of Human Services for several years prior to going to the Child Parent Institute, where I came on board as their first creative arts director there, where I was designing and implementing programs to really address ACEs and childhood adversity and family strengthening through creative arts interventions. And that has all brought me really to this work on our national campaign, The Story of Your Number, which is really about addressing ACEs and childhood adversity. And I am so thrilled to be here to share about this with you all, and hopefully to help introduce or help further the implementation of this resource to you all in the work that you are doing. So on our agenda for today, we're going to start with just a mindful moment. We can't take enough of those in our day, I really believe. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our network and the campaign. We're going to take a look at the site, the resource itself online. We're going to talk about using the resource for our own self-care. Those of us who are working as providers, who are working maybe in fields where we take care of other folks and often put others' needs first. We're also going to then talk about how to use the site as a resource for community care and child abuse prevention and prevention planning. And then I'd really love to, before we get into some discussion and feedback, to get your feedback on how we might use, develop some strategies for awareness and engagement in rural communities, how we can strengthen what we're doing to really help reach the communities that you all are serving. So you're the experts on your communities, and we love the opportunity to hear from you a little bit on that. So first, I would love to just have us take a moment to, wherever you are, if you can just take a second, get comfortable, tune into your body, tune in to yourself. I know that's hard to do on Zoom sometimes. And what I want to take our mindful moment and center that on today is the idea of connection. Dr. James Gordon, the head of the Center for Mind-Body Medicine, shared around the impact of isolation during the pandemic and the benefits of mind-body skills, self-care, and connection. And he referenced some statistics found in the book, Together, The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World, written by former US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. Loneliness is prevalent in our industrialized Western society. At any point, if you like, feel free to close your eyes and just drop into your breath a bit during this. He shared that 23% of adults reported feeling always or very often lonely. That's 55 million people in the United States. 1/3 of people over 45 are lonely very often. Loneliness is increasing among college-age youth and young adults. Experiencing loneliness can feel as bad or worse than physical pain. It has long-term negative effects. It predisposes us to negative health. We feel anxious, agitated, depressed, and it can take a toll on us, predisposing us to every kind of chronic physical and emotional disorder. It's a major stress. It can cause sleep disturbance, heart disease. It can make us more vulnerable to COVID-19, to cancer, to autoimmune disease. Over time, it can even be lethal. Chronic feelings of loneliness are as damaging to our health and as likely to be lethal as smoking a pack a day of cigarettes. Being connected, now this is the beautiful part, being connected with other people reduces our likelihood of dying prematurely by 50%. That's the power of connecting to each other. It's the power of coming together today in this moment. That's why we're not just reading about this in an email or a report. That's why we're here to share together today. Loneliness puts us into fight or flight mode. It can be caused by and can cause anxiety. When we use self-care techniques, it can help us move through and beyond our loneliness. Techniques like movement and even soft belly breathing can make us feel less lonely and a little more likely to connect with others. So let's take a deep breath in through our nose, gently breathing out through our mouth. And again, in through your nose, let your belly just fill. Relax your belly out as your lungs fill up. If you keep your belly nice and soft, it'll expand as your lungs fill up. And continue that breathing, keeping your belly nice and soft. If you want to place a hand there, the top of your abdomen to feel it rise as you breathe in. When we take deep breaths in, we deactivate that overactive fight or flight mode. We activate the parasympathetic nervous system. We activate a part of the brain that actually makes us more likely, more prepared to make connections with other people. We're less hypervigilant. We're less defensive. We're more open. We're more ready for new ideas. We activate the vagus nerve. Vagus means wandering or wanderer. And that vagus nerve travels all through our body, down through our torso. It relaxes all kinds of systems in our body that start to reassure us that we are okay, we are safe, reminds us We are worthy. Of care, of connection. And when you feel ready, take a few more deep cleansing breaths in and let your gaze come back up. And feel yourself refreshed and ready to learn, ready to connect. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay. I'd love to share just a little bit with you about the ACE Resource Network and the story of your number campaign. The ACE Resource Network, I know Lucy already gave us a lovely introduction of our mission. So I'm gonna just sort of jump right into the background of our campaign. We really got started just a couple years ago, and the campaign launched this May, but our work started in 2019 with a national poll. We did some national polling, several national polls, and what the results of those polls found were that 4 out of 5 adults in the US were really unaware of ACEs and their impacts. That included about half of educators and physicians who said, we don't know, we don't really identify with what ACEs are, and just under half of behavioral health providers said, we don't know about ACEs. So our mission really was to set out to change that. And we know that there are other groups focused on reaching physicians and behavioral health providers, and we really wanted to focus on the public, really that 4 out of 5 adults not knowing about ACEs. The CDC has said that we know that they really want to promote social norms that protect against violence and adversity. We want to promote community norms that there is a shared responsibility. I know those are some keywords in child abuse prevention for sure, around the health and well-being of all children. We really want to reduce stigma around seeking help for families, and we want to enhance connectedness for all of those reasons I just mentioned in our mindful moment, but for really to build resiliency as well for families in the face of any type of adversity. We ran some focus groups in December 2020 around our campaigns, and we really landed on we ran with a lot of different ways to frame ACEs and childhood adversity, using the number, not using the number, and really landed on using the number as sort of a hook, but really focusing on the story of your number, knowing that a number doesn't define us, that it is really our story, the whole story of childhood adversity, the story of what we've been through impacts us, impacts our children, impacts generations, and that the more we can understand that and unlock that for ourselves and for the communities and the families we serve, the more we can help address those things and help disrupt patterns and help build resiliency and create healing. We know that public education campaigns are one way to really shift social norms and reframe the way people think and talk about childhood adversity and who is responsible for prevention. We want to help shift the narrative away from individual responsibility to one that engages the community and draws upon many solutions to help promote safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments. We want to help promote protective factors, and we'll go into more about that later. With that in mind, we formed an advisory group. Sorry. And you can see we have Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, California's first Surgeon General and author of The Deepest Well and ACEs pioneer. She doesn't need much of an introduction to this group, I'm sure. Sometimes speaking on a national platform, there's not as much familiarity, but you all, I'm sure, more familiar. Dr. Kirsten Conan is heading up some of our research. We're working with the Broad Institute and to do some research around adversity, biomarkers of adversity, very exciting stuff. Dr. Richard Krugman, who is the head of the board at NCAN, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and then Dr. Thomas Boyce, who's the author of the book, The Orchid and the Dandelion, which is a really wonderful read. I'd encourage you all to check out if you have not yet. That's a great one. And these are just our board. We have also drawn from many other great thinkers, leaders, scientists, social workers, incredible folks on the front line. And you'll hear about more of them as we continue. We have a mission around public awareness and education. We set out to, like I said, really increase awareness of ACEs among adults, provide education, messages of hope that healing is possible and that you are not alone, and to provide information and resources on our web hub, which is numberstory.org. More about our campaign and the digital resource hub. We launched a multimedia, multi-channel national launch for numberstory.org, kicked off in May, using partnerships, influencers, paid and social and earned media and public relations, and some PSA advertising. This started off pre-launch with some buzz through some social content and unified messaging seeded to our influencers. We had a large thunderclap launch with a bang. You'll see some of that coming up, followed by some 360 storytelling, driving content across channels, with influencers, outdoor and social media. And then we are capturing some additional interest through some awareness, messaging, content, and communications. And we'll show you some of that now. Our partnerships, we have had some wonderful national network of partners who share in our goal of raising awareness of ACEs and their childhood adversity more broadly and the effects thereof. PACES Connection, we've been grateful for their support and their help. The Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, all of their crisis counselors have received an orientation to numberstory.org as a resource for their callers. We've partnered closely with trauma-sensitive yoga organization Yoga Ed, who works to get yoga in public school settings and make it as accessible and trauma-sensitive. And they have been super supportive and partnering with us in many activations. The National Foundation to End Child Abuse and Neglect, of course, and the National Governors Association. There's a Delaware ACEs work group and other partnerships there, to name a few. We've had a lot of professional partnerships in California specifically, including the ACEs Aware initiative. Around 90,000 working healthcare providers in California received the ACEs Aware Number Story co-branded patient poster. You can see over on the right there. Co-branded newspaper ads in many different papers all over California. Their First Five California is where you're currently working with them to integrate Number Story resources into their new parent kit, and they shared and promoted Number Story on multiple platforms during our launch month. HealthNet has worked with us to promote Number Story, and as you can see, a number of other partners throughout California. We have some national broadcast radio advertising. I'm going to play this one for you so you can get kind of an idea of the flavor of what this sounds like. This is one of our PSAs.
You might have to enable it again. I wasn't hearing.
Oh, you're not hearing? Let me see. There we go. Try one more time.
Perfect.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? It's me. It's you. It's your childhood calling.
It's your childhood calling.
Pick up.
I'm calling to tell you something very important.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
The things that happened to you as a kid, the things you went through, they were not your fault.
And you're not alone.
2/3 of us have experienced what is known as adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs.
ACEs are not our fault. They happen to us, yet they can hurt us for our whole lives.
But I'm calling to tell you that I've got good news. I'm calling because you're grown up now, and you can be in charge. You can be the author of your own story.
Learn how at numberstory.org. Numberstory.org.
So that just gives you a little taste of the fact that we're talking to adults, but we really are kind of appealing to an inner child, and that we're trying to really address the fact that there's not blame or stigma attached, that we really want folks to hear that. So on May 13th, we launched numberstory.org online with our thunderclap moment, as we called it. Many folks participated by posting a childhood picture of themselves or another image on the right. We called our thunderclap graphic, which we provided to influencers to post. On the left is Dr. Burke Harris. We had folks participate, including John Legend, Camila Cabello, Kerry Washington, Maria Shriver, Will Wheaton, Macy Gray, Taraji P. Henson. You'll see here Camila Cabello, Taraji P. Henson. A lot of them posted a story or a message about their own childhood with their image to share what Number Story means to them and a little bit about their message. Camila Cabello posted about growing up in Cuba and Mexico and immigrating to the US. It was really powerful just to hear folks interpret things in their own way and talk about their own adversity or what ACEs means to them or what their Number Story was or means. And the momentum picked up. Lots of folks shared for themselves. Just me and my tutu. I never thought I would share my own picture of myself as my little ballerina picture with the world so many times. This is John Legend actually took it upon himself to post a 2.5-minute video about ACEs and the power of ACEs awareness on communities, and shared that on all Twitter and Facebook and Instagram himself, and generating, in the first month that it was on there, almost 300,000 views. So just a powerful testament to when you have an influencer, the reach that the message can carry. So we are very grateful for that share. These are organizations who shared the messages in English and in Spanish. NCAN, Yoga Ed, Center for Youth Wellness, the Transitional Age Youth in Victorville, Redwood Community Services. So again, grateful for organizational support, bilingual messaging, And some of our communication goals in our social media are to connect where our audience are and drive people to the resource, to educate people, encourage people to take steps toward healing, present a recognizable and regarded brand with quality info, leadership, and partnerships, and to communicate efficiently and effectively to both English and Spanish speakers. We do have bilingual content on our social media. I'll share our website soon. It is available entirely in Spanish, and we're working constantly on developing more and more content in Spanish and relevant to our Latinx communities. These are just a sample here of our social community responses that were just really uplifting. We've gotten, of course, like hundreds, if not more, comments in general, but it was really neat to just start seeing people give this, sort of spontaneous feedback and shares. In June, we had launched a video conversation between Grammy Award winner singer-songwriter Camila Cabello and Grammy nominated and Dr. Burke Harris about navigating our adversity and giving ourselves grace. And she posted it to her 52 million followers and added a swipe up to numberstory.org on her link. And the video garnered 1.25 million views on her Instagram TV alone, just in those first 11 days that it was up there. And it's a really neat, very accessible conversation. That's what I love about it. It's not like just kind of hearing, scientists talk about ACEs necessarily, or just hearing kind of experts in the field alone. It's neat to hear kind of someone in pop culture having a very grounded and real conversation. These are some comments and feedback just on social media saying, I've never heard of this. Thank you for spreading the word. Prevention is the key. This was my childhood, thank you for sharing this. I think we experienced this and we don't know how to deal, or such a great message to share. Queen of sharing resources for mental health. Love her work. So I just think it's neat to hear people's feedback and encouragement and just responses. It's been overwhelmingly positive and kind of this enthusiastic contagion. In the first month, our overall reach, it's the potential reach, excuse me. So that's the potential impressions of all the posts in the data set. This is some marketing speak a little bit here, is 345 million. So that's everybody's posts. If you add up all of their followers and everyone that could have seen everything posted, that's a whole lot of views, a whole lot of eyeballs, and a whole lot of potential reach. We of course don't know how many people actually took the time to see everything that is in their feed, but that's a lot of potential. And we know there were hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on everything, and millions for sure. This is one of my absolute favorite activations that we've done so far. It's very close to my heart. It's very inspiring. I would really encourage you to check out our YouTube page. If you go to YouTube and look up my number story, if you go to our website and click on any video, the next thing that'll come up is the rest of our videos in the bottom there. It's our Get Lit campaign. And so we have 6, these are just the first 3 out of 6 youth poets that we connected with through an organization based out of the LA area called Get Lit. They are a literary arts education org, and they work with young poets and to promote literacy and self-expression and healing through spoken word poetry. And we connected with 6 young poets. We introduced them to the concept of ACEs and healing, and through self-expression healing from ACEs and introduced them to our web resource and said, kind of take a look at this info and get inspired, write what you want about it, to interpret it any way you would like to. And what we're going to do is match you with an influencer or celebrity, and you write a piece, and then we're going to have that influencer celebrity introduce and share your piece on their social media so that it reaches a whole bunch of people. So for example, Carla Sosa, who's a Mexican-American actress, she's from How to Get Away with Murder, among other lots of other TV programs. She introduced our artist Cielo and to her 7.9 million followers and introduced her, and Cielo performed her poem on Carla's channel. And these are just some excerpts under each poet from their poems, which are incredibly beautiful. You all have this slide deck. Read them, but instead of just reading them, I highly encourage you to check out either on our social media streams or on our YouTube channel to watch the artists perform their spoken word piece. I would love to play them for you now. We just don't have time. They're so powerful and beautiful. We have a couple of national broadcast television PSAs running. One is Dr. Burke Harris talking about ACEs and being impacted by trauma. The other is more of a montage of life and the different types of adversity and impacts that might come at us, and sort of that idea that we all have a number story. I'm not going to play them for you right now, but they're both pretty powerful and impactful and quick, running mostly they're on television and also online on Facebook. We have some national outdoor advertising, public service billboards, and bus shelters across the county are seeing these and seeing our website. In LA, we've had mobile billboards traveling the streets during Memorial Day weekend and the following weekend, reaching over 3 million people. In Times Square in New York, we had an ice cream truck along with a giant digital billboard that was running a large digital ad. The ice cream truck, we actually were giving away 50,000 free ice cream sandwiches that were wrapped in wrapping that it was like unwrapping childhood memories, and the nutritional content, all the numbers, everything was related to content about childhood adversity and understanding that our childhood experiences impact us now, and sending folks to the website to learn more. So if you can see more up close on our social media if you want to check out a little bit more about our ice cream activation, which was really neat. And then in Nashville this month for the I think it was the Grand Prix. We had buses that were wrapped. They're city buses, but they're wrapped to look like school buses. And they invited people to explore the story of their childhood. And inside all the buses in Nashville, we had number story messaging inside, encouraging people again to think about, reflect on your childhood and how it may be impacting you, and to visit Number Story for more. So this brings us to our web hub. This is the homepage for our website, and I'm gonna click us over. Everybody still here? Okay. This is the front page of our website. As you can see here, this will shrink back. This is our little, if you need help right now, and that little red bell is going to hang out with us. Just, it has crisis resources that are always kind of present, just in case any of the materials kind of activating and you need to contact, anybody needs to contact a crisis text line or a hotline. There's a whole host of crisis info. Our website, what we really tried to build when we were building our website is to make sure that the site really addresses people's own experiences first. rather than then our second priority really was then your role as a parent or provider. A lot of times when we find resources for folks around ACEs or childhood adversity, it's really built for providers, and it's made for, you know, educators or social workers, and talks to people at that level like, oh, you're helping others, here's stuff about ACEs. But we wanted to make something that really talks to you first as you, as yourself, all of us, no matter who we are. We know that many of us, no matter what our role is, and sometimes especially in helping professions, we tend to maybe have a little bit of a higher ACE score. We're drawn to helping others. And so we wanted to really address people's own experiences first, and then address your role as a parent and a provider, kind of that idea of put your own oxygen mask on first. And I've even heard folks saying lately after, you know, while we're going through a pandemic, multiple kinds of climate trauma, et cetera, that we don't just need an oxygen mask, we might need scuba gear. That it's like, get yourself taken care of first, big time. And then we can look at how do we help others. Our content is largely focused on education and accessible healing tools. We really wanted to focus on accessible because there's a lot out there about, we'll go see a mental health provider. And what we know, we didn't want to simply make another site that says, oh, okay, well, you need mental health care, and not to in any way diminish the role of mental health care. We know that's incredibly critical. However, we don't want to just send people to an already overwhelmed or impacted mental health system. We want to set up supports for underrepresented, marginalized communities. We want to set up supports for, we also know that, you know, when we know that half of medical providers and half of behavioral health providers don't know about ACEs, that we also think it's, you know, we want to take that in mind when we're saying the answer isn't then to just send everybody that reads this to, well, go talk to someone, they'll know how to help you. You know, we really wanted to be able to help people give people immediacy, give accessible ways for folks to find relief, find self-care, find community care and connection, and ways that they can actually begin to process some of this in the moment. So that is one of our goals. And we of course welcome your feedback to strengthen the resource, especially for yourselves, for your communities as we go. So keep that in mind. And so as you see up in the top right, the website is available in Spanish. And there are 6 original videos embedded throughout the site. They're all 30 to 90 seconds each. So I'm going to start out. This is the one that greets us right when we get here. We are actually almost at 1 million views on YouTube for this video, which is really exciting. It's reached a lot of folks. So hoping you can hear this one. Someone flag me if you're not hearing it.
Let's start here. The story of your number is the story of your ACE history, a score used to measure the number of adverse childhood experiences that happened to you before the age of 18. ACEs fall into 3 categories: abuse, neglect, and household challenges, and are so common that 2/3 of us have at least one. A landmark study found the higher the number, the more likely one can experience negative health effects like heart disease, diabetes, depression, stroke, and asthma. The number is connected to an increased probability of lots of bad stuff. But you are not a number. The number is simply an entry point to your own personal story. Where it leads is up to you. ACEs are not your fault. They happen to us, but they don't need to define us. No person with a 2 is the same as another person with a 2. Each 7 is different from every other 7. Each of us is a unique story, and we each have the power to determine how our own story turns out. Explore the story of your number. Understand how it impacts the children in your life, and take control of where your story leads.
All right. So if you scroll down, you see that's our spotlight there on this conversation. But one of the first things after defining ACEs on the page, you can see we kind of break down what ACEs are, the original 10 ACEs. But right away, we go into how ACEs are not the only kind of adversity that we may face. And we address other common adversities beyond the 10 in the original study, including discrimination, poverty, racism, other violence like bullying and community violence, intergenerational and cultural trauma, family separation from a caregiver because of immigration or foster care, other big changes in life like migration, immigration, being a refugee or seeking asylum, bereavement and survivorship, medical trauma like surviving an illness, injury, accident, natural disaster, adult responsibilities as a child, etc. So this beyond the 10 ACEs, as we call it here, that's really important to us to introduce that right away and to frame the idea that childhood adversity is not limited to 10 ACEs, and that we really want to make sure definitely it's something that we recognize, is limiting about the ACE study and is obviously, in this field and in our work and in reaching communities, we want to absolutely honor every individual's experience. And that's why we often tend to talk about your number story rather than your ACE score. And often we talk more about childhood adversity than we do about actually the word ACEs. And so this is really so key that we really felt it was important to put as like right here, smack on the first page. And we have it has its own page under the science section. There's a page called Beyond the 10, where you'll find a couple of studies linked about the impact of racism on children and the impact of poverty on children. And I think that's really important and relevant to keep those things in mind. And so as we move down, you'll see we have sort of the science behind, what toxic stress does to our body, what it means, what the difference between tolerable stress and toxic stress, etc. This metaphor of the bear in the house, that, it's good to have your body flooded with the stress of the bear in the woods, but when the bear comes through the door and lives in your house day after day, how that impact, that's that analogy that Dr. Brooke Harris uses in her TED Talk. We kind of illustrated that and brought it to life. And then go over to why should I care about my number story. Don't worry, I'm not going to do this for the whole website, click through everything, just some highlights. It talks just briefly about how ACEs and toxic stress can change us, and what those changes are. And what we really tried to do, and what I just hope that you can pick up on, is make the information really bite-sized and digestible, not an over, there are a lot, this website has a high word count, but we really tried to make it break it down in ways that folks can access it easily. And we really wanted to emphasize throughout it all that the effects of toxic stress are treatable and preventable, that this is not irreversible, that there is hope. So almost everywhere you'll see in between, like, things that seem like bad news or kind of doom and gloom, we have, probabilities are not certainties. This is healing is possible, and those messages are sprinkled throughout everything on here. But we do want people to understand what a health crisis this is, what a community crisis this is, but also why it's so important to know is because we can change this. We can do something. The power is in prevention, and that healing can be introduced at any point in this process. There's some great more videos here. ACEs can be passed down from generation to generation in different ways. But again, healing, strength, and resilience can also be passed down. There's a link out here to positive childhood experiences over to the Hope Science. That's not the only link to that site. We kind of sprinkle it in a couple of different places here because it's so important. And I'd like to integrate it even further than it is already. And so I think that message that your early trauma or adversity doesn't define you is super critical. And what we really want to emphasize, and I think especially for you all as caregivers, where the bulk of our content is this section here. It's in healing and prevention, that we can write our own story, that there's power in practice, and that prevention is possible. But again, this is the crisis info under help right now. That's like, I really need someone to connect with me, and I need to talk to somebody or get some help, whether it's with parenting skills or domestic violence or substance abuse, or I need crisis chat or suicide prevention. That's here. Heal myself, though, is what I really want us to take a look at together for a moment. You are not alone. So another thing about the site is we wrote in a voice of we, 2 or 3 of us. So not 2 or 3 adults, but 2 or 3 of us. So that's really, really important to us. It's really, really important to me. It's really true for me. I wanted this to resonate from the voice that was authentic to me, of someone who's experienced a significant ACE journey. And I wanted it to feel just authentic and heartfelt, and not too scientific, and not too, I know it's about science, and I know it's about a tough topic, but I want it to feel like it's real and it's just from somebody that's been there, because it really is. So this is really about embracing the journey. And so these tools for self-care and community care, they are from they're from really built around these strategies in the Roadmap to Resilience. That's from the California Surgeon General's Guide to Addressing ACEs and Toxic Stress. And there are 7 categories: nourishment, nature, sleep, movement, mental health care, mindfulness, and healthy relationships. And under each one, you'll see, we'll just go into one quickly. Under mindfulness, for example, there's 3 different tools. So, and each one has an actual practical few tools to try that thing. So, and you can then try another tool. So if you add them all up, under each one has like 2 options under it. So there's like 6 mindfulness tools under mindfulness. So if there are really like 42 plus probably 50 tools under this Heal Myself section, and they're really practical. They're really engaging. They're really things that we tried to make them things you don't need money for, you don't need to live in a certain area for, that you don't need to have access to a lot of resources for. We tried to really keep in mind who our end users may be. And so to that end, I would love the more exploration you do, even beyond this meeting, to have feedback from you all on what could be useful, what is useful, what's not useful. We'd welcome all of that from you. And that includes for yourselves, because we want this to be useful for everyone, especially if you are helping resource others. We want you to be especially well resourced. In our Help My Kids section, we have everything from a video on the power of positive experiences, which I would love to take a moment and share with you.
Childhood is a critical period of life. Those growing brains are working hard to make sense of each new moment and store things away for later. When a child experiences adversity, that critical development can be compromised in the moment and throughout their lives. Fortunately, just as adverse experiences can harm, positive experiences can heal and change the course of a child's life. Even one caring adult can help to create a safe and predictable environment, help a child to build coping skills, and foster resiliency. When adults are present in the moment, when we listen without judgment, and when we encourage natural curiosity, we can strengthen their sense of safety and well-being. Positive childhood experiences extend beyond the home too. Teachers, coaches, and friends who care are powerful protective forces. And don't underestimate the power of community and culture. Traditions, teams, and clubs can help build a healthy sense of self that lasts into a thriving adulthood. It's never too late to care for a child and help put them on the path to a healthy future.
Thanks. And then we have my child's ACE history, and here you'll see this is there's the pediatric ACEs and related life events screener for kids and for teens are in here. They're a little bit different than the adult screener, which is over in the Explore My Number section at the beginning. So those are found under here in the Help My Kids section. And again, this is a link out to the Healthy Outcomes Through Positive Experiences, HOPE Positive Experience site. There are also frequently asked questions about kids and ACEs, helping kids manage stress, and that has signs of stress in kids, tools for, there's like tips for meditation tools for kids, grounding work for kids, all different like similar healing strategies for kids there, a building resilience toolkit for kids that has those 7 categories that we had in the healing section for kids. There's early childhood under here that goes back to everything from early, I'm going to just take you there because that's pretty useful. Brain builders, core story of brain development is really useful. That's from the Harvard Developing Child site. Mental health and pregnancy, secure attachment info here, serve and return with a great video in there. So really neat stuff, starting with year 1, and then communication and connection. I'm just going to wrap up and show you a quick glance over here on support families and community. There's that great video again. But these 5, I'm sure most of you are familiar with. If you take a look at what these are, you'll recognize the Center for, it's not coming to me. Center for, what am I thinking? It's the Strengthening Families
Center for the Study of Social Policy.
Social policy. Thank you so much. Yes, CSST. I'm like, I have the initials. Yes. And it's the 5 protective factors for strengthening families and reducing the risk of child abuse and neglect. And so those are here, and in really some practical and accessible terms, there are some suggestions for how to help implement those 5 protective factors in your community. So I am going to take us out of the site, and I'm going to get us into breakout rooms. So now that you've seen our campaign launch and you've seen the website, a lot of the website, there were some other sections, but those are sort of our the bulk of some of our most applicable content here. I wanted to see if you have some ideas on how might Number Story be useful in engaging your community to help in child abuse prevention and or child abuse prevention planning. And I have some ideas to bring us back together with, but I would love to hear your ideas and feedback. And I want to just do this as a pretty quick share. So just taking a few minutes to sort of check in with each other in small groups of maybe 4 to 5.
And how long do you want us to have the groups open for?
Let's just do, I don't think we have too much time left, so let's just do a couple minutes.
Okay. Maybe we probably need more than a couple, like maybe.
I mean, just, maybe
like 5 minutes.
5 would be great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Bryn, can you?
All right, I'll open the rooms now.
Thank you. Hi, people in our rooms.
I like that approach of bringing celebrities, because they influence so many generations, and so that's really good approach.
Are we back? I think Joy, you're back. I think the group's here.
Oh, great. Okay. Welcome back. Should I share my screen yet? Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I am wondering, would someone, actually, when I do this so I can see the chat, sorry.
It's quite all right. We're also monitoring the chat, so.
Oh, okay. Well, and I will go back to share. I'm wondering, would someone from each group like to share something, a key highlight that you discussed, or something that came up for your group that you might want to share with the rest of us?
And I wonder, Bryn, help me out here. I forget. Can folks unmute themselves, or do we have to do it?
They can. You are more than welcome to unmute yourself.
Yes, you're free to feel free to unmute yourself and share if you had something that came up for you. Or chat.
Or if you want to, if you prefer to chat, that's okay too, and we'll read it out.
I can start. This is Julene.
Hi,
Great, Julene, welcome.
Hi. In my group, we were talking about what a great need this website is filling, because so many of the other ACEs websites are really, like you said, Joy, more for the providers and things like that. So I work with resource families, and I'm also part of my county's ACEs collaborative. And we did a kind of a needs assessment recently with our ACEs collaborative to see, like, what do people need? And one of the big needs was, we need resources. You know, we need to figure out where the resources are, where the tools are. And so we're going to be sharing in our ACEs collaborative. That's one of the, on our agenda, we're going to be talking about resources. And I'm so excited to learn so much more about this today, because I'll be totally prepared for my little spiel tomorrow when I get to introduce this to our ACEs collaborative. And other folks in my group said the same thing, that they're working with one of the ladies is working with incarcerated parents, and so just having a tool that can really they can use and speak to them is super helpful. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Glad to hear that it can be useful. Thank you. How about another group? Anyone else have some feedback or Any ideas?
Hi, this is Carla from First Five in Lake County.
Hi, Carla.
We're huge fans of here of Never Story and try to share frequently the things you post, and we are so excited about the potential of the site and all of the links and resources that it has, and especially the way that you're going about it in such a high quality way and with excellence and with such thought and care. So big fans, and we are hopeful that in the future there will be some sort of a toolkit or way that we can localize this. So we are hopeful that we can mobilize our own influencers in our own community and be able to have them sharing their number stories. So people who, like our local sheriff, you know, the high school football coach or the salon hairstylist everyone waits months to get into, or you know, the folks who mean something special to our community, and that they would have a way to be able to share their number story in a way that's like this, that's very I don't know the right word for it, but it's done with excellence. So if there's any way to down the road create a toolkit where we can personalize this in our own communities and link back to the bigger story, that would be a huge resource for us.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. I think you're super aligned with where we're heading, and there's we're got a Mentimeter coming up that is made for you and made for that thought. So hold on to those. You just named a few key things I want to hold on to. So thank you so much for that feedback. Anyone else want to jump in there before we move on? A couple other groups or? No, don't be shy. Last chance. Okay, I'm going to keep going for the sake of time just because we don't have too much left here. This, and I'm not going to like go through and read everything here. I'm just going to emphasize, you know, primary prevention strategies here for reducing the likelihood of ACEs and other risk factors for toxic stress from ever occurring. Really focus on increasing buffering factors and reducing the dose of adversity. We're really then aiming to shift the experience of stressors from toxic to tolerable or even positive stress. And we're really rooting our primary prevention strategy in ensuring broad public awareness. And all of this really is derived from the Surgeon General of California's roadmap to resilience. There is some guidelines there for cross-sector work, and we really recognize that we can introduce and integrate number story and the resources on the site to help support positive parenting and caregiving, strengthen resilience, help increase provider resilience to vicarious trauma and burnout, especially in that heal myself section, but also just building our awareness and education around our own number story, and then how we can, like I said, be on our own healing journey. Help ensuring that staff or personnel, whether that's at schools or law enforcement, anywhere that deals with people and families, understand the impacts of ACEs and toxic stress on our community functioning, to help create trauma responsive climates, right? So that's really key to creating that infrastructure that we want across all those sectors that helps us build those trauma responsive, resilient communities that make us all, you know, a safer place for all of us. And in a secondary prevention strategy level, where early interventions for folks who are at higher risk or have prior exposure to ACEs or early adversity, you know, that early detection that lets us know we need to strengthen protective factors, initiate buffering interventions, and prevent that toxic stress physiology and negative outcomes. We can help promote those specific tools for resilience and healing, whether it's for kids or adults, and promote those 7 strategies. These tools can be integrated into classrooms, community groups, other settings, home visitations.
Right.
So we really hope that, we can use the site to shore up both, primary and secondary strategies. So those are just some ideas. We really think sharing those videos, like I said, we have 6 different videos. I showed you, I think 2 that are on the site there, and there's 4 more. Please check them all out. And that doesn't even count our 6 Get Lit poems that are amazing to share. So right there, that's like 12 pieces of content you could put on social media that are
Once a month.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of content to share. If you don't mind, this is what I was referring to, Carla. Who are the trusted messengers in your community? If you want to go to menti.com and you see the code right there, just like you did earlier today, or the chat if you don't have access, go ahead and let's see. Sorry,
It's okay.
I'm still figuring this out myself.
We're all figuring it out.
I know. You're so patient with me. I'm sticking here, right? Okay. And I think we're good. And enter in the code you see here. It's 5487-2213. What trusted messengers are in your community? And we do want to hear about your local trusted messengers. I heard hair salons. I heard sheriff. Those are both great ones. We also want to hear about who are the celebrities and entertainers and athletes, and who are those famous people that you think, in my rural community, you know what, they love this musician, or this, they don't really care about Camila Cabello, they love this star. And the reason I'm asking is because we might have the ability to go, hey, you know what, we can get this person for a rural California campaign or a in your region campaign. And the wild thing is, with this campaign we're working on, there isn't too much that's outside the realm of possibilities. And so hey, there you go, Guy Fieri, Sonoma County.
And I love the faith-based. That's
yes,
great.
thank you. Yeah,
Parent
that's
leaders,
church leaders, school activities and parents. That's great. Local athletes is a great idea. Yeah, so keep these ideas flowing, because what I'll do is take these back, and our marketing team would love to hear from you.
And I was also thinking, we have some ski racers up in Tahoe, in South Lake, that are local celebrities. Yeah.
Yes. Teachers, home visitors, carrying this message, trusted. That's so good. The Giants. Yes.
Coffee shops.
Shops and snowboarders in Mammoth.
Yep. I was thinking, yep.
CASA volunteers. We know, we love and trust them. Yes. Thank you all. Thank you. Firefighters. That's a really beautiful one. Thank you. Coaches, footballs and cheer. That's great. Yeah, this is great. So we know that this is different in different communities, and the same voices aren't going to resonate everywhere we are. So we want to hear this from you. So let's just take another couple seconds here to get your ideas in. And if I cut you off, feel free to drop them in the chat. Police and law enforcement. Thank you. Yeah, different communities, where the trust lies in different places depending on who we're talking to. So it is really valuable to hear from you all who know your community. Elected officials and judges. Cirque du Soleil performers from Vegas. I love it. Yes, cool. Thank you. That's great. I had the opportunity to talk, probably my most unique place I've ever gotten to carry the ACEs message was to a group of burners at Burning Man in Black Rock City. I did a whole talk on healing from childhood adversity in the middle of the Burning Man festival, and it was certainly my most unique audience.
Yep.
And you never know. They were very receptive. Just a few more seconds here and we'll jump back over for a final discussion of ways that we can, some things I wanted to offer to your community. Oh, I saw Lance Bass from Insane.
Yeah, that's great. And then Michaela said the Tri-County Fair.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, I want to make sure I don't lose those. So let me make sure I save this chat before I leave today. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll do a little countdown like we did before. So let's just give it 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll head back over. Thank you so much all. Whoops, I skipped one. There we go. And finally, do I have just a moment to wrap up with this?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure
Okay.
do.
So finally, number story in your community, something I want to offer you all. If you would like to share this resource with your staff, your colleagues, your network, first of all, I want to empower you because some of you have already said, I want to share this with my team. By all means, share this with your team. You have heard from me.
Explore
you have
together.
the website.
Yep.
You go for it. You know a lot. You've heard me. You've got it. You can share it. But you have the slide deck that I just shared with you that Barb was kind enough to send out. You can use it. You can share it. Spread the word. Spread what you want on social media. Go for it. But if you would like for us to come share, if you want me to come share, request an orientation and we're happy to show up and share with your team for you and give a little orientation about what this is and what we're doing. And we will do that virtually for you. Absolutely. Would your community benefit from materials about the impacts of childhood experiences, whether that's in your family resource center, in your salon, any other space? If you want to reach out for digital files in English and Spanish with co-branded, like your org and our org, like that ACEs Aware initiative poster or something similar, a flyer, a postcard, we'll give you the digital file. You would have to do the printing yourself, but we'll provide for free the digital files with the co-branding and the design done. You can print. That would come from us. If you want to share digital content for your newsletter or blog, we can share with you a copy that we already have, or we can customize content for your readers. If you say, for example, like Yoga Ed said, we want an article that's about ACEs, and then also, are there a couple of good mindfulness exercises for kids that you can put in there at the end, and about why yoga is good for people who have had ACEs? Yep, we'll write that for you and give you that. So if you want us to customize it for your target audience, but it's about, childhood adversity, we got you covered. Let us know. If you are launching a new initiative or you have a relevant message that you want to share and you want to do a joint press release that's to your community and you want to add a little bit of leverage to it or help it get a bigger splash by partnering with us to, give it a little bit of a boost there in the news, we'll happily do a joint press release with you. So those are just some of our ideas on how we can help, boost up and uplift you, support you in your community. We are also completely open to your ideas. So I know we don't have a lot of time left now, but for questions and discussion, but my email is here, and happy to take any of your questions. I'm Joy, not Sarah, so feel free to send any questions, feedback, any kind of follow-up that you want to send it my way, and we are super happy to engage with you. We are so grateful for the work that you're doing out there in your communities, and the work that you are doing to serve folks who need it, kids, families. We just encourage you to use the resources first to take care of yourselves in the day-to-day work that we know it is not easy. We know that you all need support. We know that you all need resources, and we hope that we can help fill some of that need. And we are here to be a resource, and we hope we can do that for you. Thank you so much.
Joy. Thank you so much. Bryn, if you could just transition back to our
Absolutely.
PowerPoint. So
Excellent
Joy,
presentation. Thank you so much for all the resources that you're offering. Really appreciate it.
yes. Let me just, I just want to share, I put in the chat the link to Caltrin. I hope you don't miss that, because I did receive an email this morning from OCAP saying that Caltrin is hosting a number of trainings, and they haven't had the most, they haven't had a lot of signups from our Northern California friends. So I want to make sure that folks are aware of Caltrins. It's free training funded by OCAP. They're going to be having protective factor training coming up, all free, direct delivery skills on implicit bias, poverty interventions, trauma-informed systems, and leadership and management. So please make sure you hit their website, get on their mailing list if you're not already. So unfortunately, it's almost 11:30. So I'm wondering if we have time to just share very quickly some of the ideas we have for our next learning exchange. Lucy, you want to talk about the tribal initiative?
Yeah, so in the next slide, you'll see, this is just a reminder, if you don't have it on your calendar, please save the date. We do have our next rural learning exchange cohorts. We have them scheduled for the next 3 sessions. We hope that you can attend and invite your partners or collaborative members in your county. So just take a note of this. But just as I said when we started the session, is that we create these exchanges with around topics that are important to you. So we would like to ask you to take just 30 seconds of your time to, and then our next slide, give us some input on what topics would you like to see in our October learning exchange. And we're also collecting this list because it will help us gather topics for our next session. So feel free to add, especially because in rural counties, we have multiple needs. And sometimes we also even have great resources that we can also offer to our urban communities. So any topic that you are interested, please feel free to enter that in the Mentimeter, or if not, you can also enter in the chat box. And one thing I just want to share, if you are also, as Barbara said, interested in supporting us in part of our planning efforts to conduct these learning exchange opportunities, feel free to also put it in chat box that you'd be interested. We will contact you. And or if you would like to present also a topic, or maybe a service or initiative that you have in your rural county, a model that you would like to share, please also let us know. We really appreciate that. Once again, this is brought to you with the purpose of supporting you and your needs in a county, in a rural community. So it's really important for us to gather your input. So take maybe another 20 seconds to enter it in the chat box or in the Mentimeter. We would love to hear, what topics are you interested in hearing about in October?
And we were thinking, one of the areas that we were thinking to focus on would be engaging with tribal leaders and community members. And it kind of hit me when we were thinking about who are some of the leaders in your community that you'd want to share the ACEs information with. Think about tribal leaders as well, because that's a great way to engage that tribal community. So if that's something that you would be interested in, please let us know. Either there's the Mentimeter code, and I think you can type in if you'd like, or just type into the chat, if you agree that that's something you'd be interested in, or you have other ideas. You can also, there's a link to our evaluation in the chat, and in the evaluation, please feel free to add ideas. There's a question about what topics you'd be interested in. So we want to hear from you, and we're happy to do our best to create programs that support your work.
So with that, we'll go ahead and close today's session. Thank you so much. I know we have gone over 2 minutes over your time. We truly appreciate you staying with us. Once again, just a reminder, topics, tribal engagement with the tribal communities is something that's a topic that has been brought up. Please let us know if that's something you're interested for October. And also please, once again, we cannot do this without your support. So please, if you could take a moment to also complete the evaluation, the link is in the chat box. We really appreciate it. We want to make sure that we are making these exchange opportunities worth your time, and also that it is a strategic tool that you can take back into your community. And with that, we just want to say thank you so much for being here with us. And my behalf, Lucy Hernandez, my colleague, Barbara DeGraff, and then Bryn Pascal, we are just truly grateful for your time and all the work you do. And on behalf of our presenter, thank you so much, Joy, for all your insight today and resources. We really appreciate it. Our goal is that Joy becomes part of your extended network and that you can access her for any support and resources for your communities. So with that, we want to say thank you. Have a great day, and we hopefully see you in October.
And stay safe out there, everybody, please. Thank you, ASL folks.